Hello everyone, it's great to see you again. Welcome to Chapter 5, Section 1 of the online video course Chinese Traditional Culture and Spiritual Healing. My name is James, a teacher at Guangdong University of Foreign Studies.
Professor, death is a terrifying thing for me. How can I overcome the fear of death?
As said by philosopher Heidegger, man is born to die. Once a person is born, he is destined to die. The so-called life is just a journey to death. Man comes into the world and eventually vanishes into nothing. No matter how much he misses the world, he has to leave it in the end. Just as a Western proverb goes, the fates lead the willing and drag the unwilling. This seems to be quite a frustrating fact. Professor Wang Yan said, when she was young, she deliberately avoided thinking about death, as it brought her a strong sense of nothingness and fear. This has changed since she read about Zhuangzi's theory of death. What impresses her most is that Zhuangzi distinguished between different types of death and adopted different attitudes toward them. Zhuangzi generally divided death into two types. The first is inevitable natural death that everyone has to face, namely, to live out a natural life, in his words. Zhuangzi's wife died this way. The second type is avoidable death, namely, end of life in advance due to people's own choice, as said by Zhuangzi, such as committing suicide and loyal ministers getting killed by the emperor due to frank admonishment. Zhuangzi was optimistic towards inevitable natural death. I believe you have heard the story that Zhuangzi sung while playing an instrument at the death of his wife. One day, Zhuangzi's wife passed away. Huizi went to comfort him, but saw an astonishing scene that Zhuangzi was singing while playing an earthen instrument. Huizi was quite puzzled. Your wife has accompanied you all her life, gave birth to children for you, and now has died of old age. She, at least, deserves credit for efforts. You do not cry for her death, but even sing and play musical instrument. That's too much. Hearing this, Zhuangzi replied, how could I not be sad when she just died? But later, I realized she never existed in this world. She came from nature out of nothing, and now returns to nature with nothing. Since she has returned to her home in nature and is resting peacefully, why should I cry? Zhuangzi believed that death and life are never determined by humans, but by nature, just like constant alternation of night and day. Night and day coexist in the same way as life and death. This is a law of nature that no one can change. No one can resist death, even a man with the most brilliant life. It is frustrating to realize this, but I also feel relieved. Everyone is equal in death. Since death is inevitable, why do we struggle? Zhuangzi also said, Life is analogous to death, while death is the beginning of life. Life and death are connected end to end, just like head-tail connected double fishes in ancient Chinese painting. Flowers will bloom again, and the sun will rise again. Therefore, death is not an end, but an inevitable link forming the eternal vitality of life in the universe. The entire universe is like a big creature, while each life is like a cell of it. When a person dies, it is as if the big creature is metabolizing. This reminds me of Steve Jobs' understanding of death. Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. In rural areas of China, people call the death of the elderly a white, joyous event. Hinduism believes in Shiva, the god of destruction. Hinduism wisdom behind death is common to that of Zhuangzi. Therefore, when natural death approaches, we do not need to hang upon or feel scared. Just leave gracefully from the stage of life. As for the second type, avoidable unnatural death, Zhuangzi advised people to do their best to avoid it. In his view, such deaths largely stem from people's indifference and harm to their own lives. Had they valued life and put life first, there would not be such tragedies. Since life is a gift from nature, we should care for it, treat it kindly, and stay away from danger as much as possible. This is Zhuangzi's attitude towards death, facing natural death philosophically and trying to avoid unnatural death. To put it plainly, do not fear death and do not ask for death.
We've now reached the end of section 1 of chapter 5. Before we finish, I have some questions for you to think about. You can see them on the screen now. Please pause the video to think about them and continue when ready. 1. How do you feel about Heidegger's proverb, "Man is born to die"? 2. Do you agree or disagree with Zhuangzi's attitude towards his wife's death, that she came from nature out of nothing, and then returned to nature with nothing? Explain your answer. 3. Do you agree that avoidable and natural death is a result of not valuing and putting life first? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.